The first step in getting your new site ready is to prepare your development environment. Creating and deploying ASP.NET Core web applications requires that you have the necessary tools installed on your local machine. We will cover the development tools you need and how to install them. Here, you will learn how to use the publishing features built into Visual Studio to deploy and manage ASP.NET Core web applications hosted on Azure. A workload is a pre-configured bundle of tools within Visual Studio that are grouped to enable developers to build certain types of applications, use certain development languages, or develop for specific platforms. For example, the desktop development with C++ workload includes Visual Studio features that let you run and debug C++ console applications. Also, the mobile development with .NET workload installs all of the tools needed to create mobile applications with .NET. Visual Studio 2019 has two workloads that you need to create, publish, and deploy your website to Azure. These workloads include the templates for your ASP.NET Core site and provides the ability to connect and deploy your site to Azure. With Visual Studio 2019 installed, you need to make sure you have the following Visual Studio workloads installed. The ASP.NET and Web Development workload in Visual Studio is designed to maximize your productivity in developing web applications using ASP.NET and standards-based technologies like HTML and JavaScript. The Azure Development workload in Visual Studio installs the latest Azure SDK for .NET and tools for Visual Studio. Once these items are installed, you can view resources in Cloud Explorer, create resources using Azure Resource Manager tools, build applications for Azure Web and Cloud Services, and perform big data operations using Azure Data Lake tools. You use the Visual Studio installer to modify the components installed as part of Visual Studio, including workloads. To complete the exercises in this lesson, you'll need the ASP.NET and Web Development and Azure Development workloads installed, which we will cover now. Make sure you have these workloads installed before moving on to the next exercise. You can download the Visual Studio installer from the Microsoft website for free at visualstudio.microsoft.com/downloads. To launch the installer, from your Windows Start menu, scroll down to V and then click Visual Studio Installer. Alternatively, while the Start menu is open, you can just type Visual Studio Installer to find the installer link. Then select Enter. Ensure the ASP.NET and Web Development and Azure Development workloads are selected under the Web and Cloud section of the Workloads tab. Next, click the Install button on the bottom right of the installer. The Visual Studio installer will download and install the necessary components. Workloads are added to your local Visual Studio installation and only need to be installed once. You can launch the Visual Studio installer in the future to add additional workloads, customize installed workloads, or remove them.